So we arrive at the key word in Ayn Rand's lexicon, okay, and that's the word entity. And this just leads us into this introduction to what an object is, okay. And again, she shouldn't have been involved with that because entity, what an object is, what a thing is, has nothing to do with philosophy. What a thing is has to do strictly with physics. Physics is responsible for defining what an entity, what a thing is. Okay, but Ayn Rand gave it a shot, just like Aristotle and all the others in between. Okay, cognition starts with the ability to perceive things. Oh, she's that perception thing, entities. Okay, she says things are entities. Okay, but she introduces that word perceive, perception, cognizant, see, touch, knowledge, I guess, included in there. The fact that you're aware of something. So she's going to introduce an observer in this notion of entity that she has. And you'll see that slowly as you see the next few slides here. Of man's 5 cognitive senses, again, she's talking about senses, right? Only 2 provide him with direct awareness of entities, sight and touch. So she's going to introduce sight and touch in her notion of entity, of thing, okay? In order to perceive this something, he needs sight and touch. It is by perceiving entities that man perceives the universe. Okay, so she's going to introduce see and touch, no doubt about it. See, touch, that's subjective, because the moon is not an object, an entity, a thing for the blind man, because he can't see it. And I don't think he can touch it. I mean, not from here, at least, unless he's an astronaut or something. And so the moon doesn't exist, or better, even before that, it's not even an object, according to the blind man. You're just trying to fool him that there's this satellite out there, Neither is the sun, by the way. He can feel the sun. Maybe that one he can say, well, I can touch the sun's rays, so I'll concede that there's a sun, but I'm not going to concede the moon because I can't really perceive it in any way. He can't touch it, he can't smell it, he can't taste it, can't hear it. The moon doesn't exist. It's not even an object as far as the blind man is concerned. So she's very limited in her notion of what thing is, because she's circumscribing it to people who have no disabilities. Okay, is a pen an object to the blind quadriplegic who can't even touch it or doesn't sense it? So the pen's not an object because he can't sense it or see it because he's blind and quadriplegic. So again, putting all that into senses, in terms of senses, is where the error is, where the fault is in Ayn Rand's definition. The concept entity is implicitly the start of man's conceptual development and the building block of his entire conceptual structure. It is by perceiving entities that man perceives the universe. Is it? I don't know. Let me show you why that's wrong, or why that's, she's off her rocker there. Well, I can put this first here, but let's go with the example. Okay, here we have it. Okay, here you have 2 magnets. Okay, and they attract and they repel. Okay, now do you see a magnetic field there doing the job between them? Okay. Now, of course, we can sprinkle iron filings over that, and we can pattern, or the iron filings will cover the magnet in a given pattern, and it'll do it consistently. And you can say, well, I can't see the magnetic field, and I can't see the what it does, other than attracting magnets and iron filings. So you would say that, yeah, there is a magnetic field. There is something there. Whatever it is, I can't see it, but I can't touch it. So we can't do it with see and touch. But it turns out that, what if we go in there and just have one magnet? Now what happens? And you don't have a way of testing whether it has a magnetic field around it. So now, is that a magnet or just a chunk of iron? See, this is the issue with depending on senses. If you just see that and you have no way of testing, it's just lying on the ground, for example, a piece of lodestone, right, that has magnetic properties, you would not know. You would say, well, that's just a stone. And you would not perceive its magnetic properties. Why? Because you don't see them and you can't touch them. And so if we're going to rely on our senses, we're going to have problems with magnetism, and among others, we're going to have problems also with gravity. I mean, here's gravity, okay, and you go to the lab and you see this, okay. You see two objects being dropped, a feather and a stone there. Well, it's a metal piece of metal. And you can see on the left-hand side, you see it without air, and on the right-hand side, you see it with air. And the air causes resistance, so the feather takes longer to reach the ground. And now here's the actual speed. Okay. Quite fast. So did you see the gravitational field? Did you see what caused the feather and the stone, the metal block there? Did you see what brought them down? Did you see the particles pushing on it? Did you see the ropes, in my case, pulling on it? Did you see anything there? So are we going to rely on our senses to determine what gravity is, what magnetism is? This is the issue. The issue is that Ayn Rand limited her notion of entity to that which we can perceive, touch and see. And the question is something there? Is whatever mediates gravity, whatever mediates magnetism, is that a something? Is that so-called magnetic field, is that a something? Well, what is it? I mean, if we can't see it and we can't touch it, how are we going to say that it's even an object? And if you don't put an object in there to produce that effect, those effects, right? You're doing physics with angels. You're doing it with spirits. You're using black magic. That's the issue. You better put an object in there, and that object had better not be tangible or seeable. It has to be an intangible, invisible object. Mother Nature works with invisible agents. Okay.